Driving a lifted Avalon.
About a month ago, we took this completely stock Toyota Avalon to the Gambler 500 rally. And now we've entered into an off-road rallycross race called Hooptie X. But before we get there, we're going to need to address the biggest issues we had, which was ground clearance and the blown struts. In other words, it's time for a lift and tires.
Yay, $7 struts. All right, cool.
Okay, $75 worth of nuts and bolts, and we are almost ready to start cutting and welding and lifting.
You can't put a price on safety.
It's true.
Grade 8 bolts. And sawzall plates.
Oh yeah. We're also prepared for some fender chopping.
Just take the step drill and open those holes up to 5/8, and then we'll make the bars that come down. Yeah? Should work.
Yeah.
In theory. Look at that, we're not even putting CV axles in a bind at this angle. Yeah, the plates are gonna go across these 3 holes. So the plates are gonna have 3 holes and spaces. So we need to make a dead spacer for this one, and then put a bolt there, and then we need to have spacers
to fill this gap,
to fill that
and we
gap.
can just use the original bolts for these holes.
No, those have to be the longer ones too, because we're gonna have that whole stack up on all of them.
Yeah.
So,
So the bolts are all gonna match. Look at this bronze and red motif. It's beautiful.
Okay, so each one, so we're gonna need 2 1-inch 1.165 spacers.
1.165 inches.
Yeah. 8 spacers that are 0.25, 4 spacers at 0.475. So we need at least 44 inches of material. So, oh, actually, one of these will do it. Sweet. And then we got some flat bar left over. Punch, punch.
What's the plan though, Blue? We go. Spinning parts on the lathe and everything. What?
Alright, so here's the plan. Got all our different spacers here. So the thin ones space the bracket off of the lip here. The thick one is our dummy spacer for in here. And then the medium sized one is for the very bottom hole. So let me show you this. Okay. And then
change another spacer on this backside?
Yeah.
So, now we just gotta do the same thing to all 4 corners. It's scary looking, but also kind of cool looking. Minimal issues. Tie rod kind of touches the sway bar at full droop, but the chances of us being at full droop are slightly minimal.
And at lock.
Oh yeah, and yeah, at full droop and at full lock.
Yeah.
So that'd be a weird jump. These are the wheels and tires we're putting on here. These are 235/75/15s. And the wheels are off of a Jeep Grand Cherokee or something. And same bolt pattern. The hub's a little bit bigger, so I have some hub-centric rings. But these are basically 29, not quite 30-inch tires. And I think with a little bit of fender cutting, maybe some hammering and massaging, they should fit on here fairly well. Is that full compression?
Yeah. Well, that's right height, but
So we're like at -1.5.
nah, closer to 1, like 1 1/8 maybe. I don't know if it'll do anything, but it makes me feel better.
Yeah.
So the idea behind this is that because we've now moved these mounting bolts so close together, this whole knuckle has a lot more leverage on the bracket for the strut. So I decided if we take a piece of flat bar and bend it to the same radius as this, and then just strap it around the bottom of the strut welded on, I mean, I guess it should support it if it tries to come out this way, and it can't go that way because it's just pushing into the steel. So, in theory, it should make it a lot stronger. Hopefully.
Than the right. Okay, we've made pretty good progress so far. We've got the struts mounted up. We still need to weld the little support bracket that we're going to wrap around the back side of the strut on the plates for the back ones. We do have some clearance issues, particularly on the back. This corner of the fender, the tire hits here, so we can't even get it mounted up as the tire's hitting this corner. So we're going to need to chop this chunk of metal and plastic out here, and then probably roll this lip on the inside of the fender just so we're not scraping the tire up against this edge. But the clearance to the spring perch seems like it's going to be okay, which is good, because that was the primary concern before, was that it was going to be hitting the bottom of the spring perch. But since we spaced the strut up from the knuckle, that moved the spring perch up, so we now have about an inch or so clearance, it looks like, to the bottom of the perch. And the other issue we're gonna have is the rear sway bar is now hitting the strut. So I'm just gonna take off the rear sway bar, and we're just not gonna run one. Who needs a rear sway bar anyway? So, got a metal blade on the reciprocating saw, and we're gonna see if we can't artistically trim some material off of here. I'll try and be at least a little bit clean about it. That's a little bit smoother. Just massage some of this in. So we got plenty of clearance to the spring perch, which is what I was most concerned about. And now we have plenty of clearance on the front. Okay, it's lifted. Just got to throw these wheels on and drop it on the ground and see how it looks. The back did come up a little bit.
Yeah, you need to go settle it down. Alright, let's go pull it out and see how it feels. That's great.
It's rubbing on something. The test drive didn't go very far because the alignment is really messed up now. Like really bad, so bad that the ride height is changing. The suspension's kind of going from really tall like it is right now to super drift spec stancy boy.
Yeah, I think what happened is because we've taken the top of the knuckle and put them into a new position, but haven't adjusted the tie rods yet. It pulled everything in the front because it's rear rack, and so the front's like towed in really bad. The rear's fine, but the front's towed in so bad that when Donovan tried to drive forward, it was trying to pull the control arms under the car and pick the whole front end out of the car. And you can see it, it's pretty funny. But we're gonna fix that and then go for another test drive. That's in?
What?
It's towed in like 1.25 inches.
All right, to the test road. Ooh, yeah. There's a sweet spot in the turning where it doesn't rub. You go back or any farther, it'll rub again, but you find that sweet spot. I mean, it doesn't feel too much different, besides it doesn't bounce as much.
Yeah, it's crazy having good struts.
It's not
pulling.
No. Well, also this road's kind of different, but
Oh my god, the struts are beautiful.
no, it's actually going really straight.
Nice. See, who needs an alignment rack when you got toe plates and a
Tape measures.
couple tape measures? Eventually it will clearance itself.
Not on the subframe.
Ooh, did the knocky thing again. I think it's just like clipping the fender, because when you barely turn, the front of the tire gets really
Yep.
yeah, it's just clipping the plastic. We're driving a lifted Avalon.
Well, after driving it around for a few days, it didn't seem to self-clearance itself. So, it's time to bust out the saw and help it out a little bit. So what I'm kind of thinking here, so I've ditched my washer fluid reservoir, and on the other side there was just a big resonator chamber for the intake. I think I want to take a line about here and trim this much of the bumper off, remove the fog lights, and then maybe follow this line down to a point and see how I like that. I think if I cut it straight across, you're gonna see the lower core support kind of ugly, and it's not really gonna get me any more approach angle. But removing all this stuff will get me a little bit more clearance with the tires on the front, which is the worst part of where it's rubbing. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. No turning back now. So I'm going to put back just a little bit of this Fender liner to protect the wiring loom, or at least make me feel like I'm protecting the wiring loom, but I'm not going to need a whole lot of it. Spacing out the corner of the fender will give me a little bit more clearance, and it's like a makeshift wide body kit. So there it is, a 20-year-old grandma sedan, now lifted, race prepped, and rolling on Jeep wheels and tires. If you want to see how the race goes, keep an eye on the Tire Side YouTube channel, where we'll post the race day video, and Nick will also be racing his Subaru swapped VW Beetle. And I'll see you all on the next video.